Hi, this is Martin Drummond with Progressive News. It's April 3rd, 2019. And I just wanted to throw an idea out there. I've been promoting it for 20 or 30 years, but never had my own news show to promote it on, so I think I'll promote it today. It's a pretty simple idea. It's, well, first of all, I'd like to say that capitalism, I went to business school, right? One of the top 10 business schools in the country. And it was only called the top 10, one of the top 10, because I went there. I know that's, it sounds really egotistical, but the fact is there was really no other reason for it to be one of the top 10 business schools in the nation. The year I went there, it got written up in U.S. World News and World Report or whatever in Newsweek as one of the top 10. So I learned, anyway, I think I've told you about that often enough, because it is a I mean, you talk about college scandals, you know, people getting in just because of what their last name is or whatever. Well, you really just have to be a thug for the establishment, and they'll do these things for you anyway. So all I'm saying though is that I went to school and I learned about capitalism, right? And of course I read books on economics, and I understood, you know, I had to learn like what capitalism, how it was supposed to work in theory. I mean, way back in the 1700s, whatever, they theorized how it should work or how it would work. And one of the things that they said was that capitalism, and this is why I have this group, by the way, why capitalism sucks. because it does, man. I mean, one of the theories of capitalism is that supply equals demand, and part of that theory is that if people want something, they will get it, at least if they're rich or if they have money. Well, when the first cars were coming out, they were electric for a reason. Okay, and the reason that people would demand electric cars or anything is because if I walked up to you and I said, well, what if I could give you a car that did the exact same thing, you get in it and you go here and there with it, but it didn't have a motor in it, didn't have an exhaust, didn't burn gas. Well, you'd love it, right? And so obviously people they've just had gas burning cars and gas whatever for forever forced upon them. So capitalism doesn't really do that. As a matter of fact, if you look at capitalism objectively, it does the opposite. Capitalism is obviously a system designed to force people to use whatever the people who are making the money off of whatever it is, force them to use that. And here's why. I mean, since I was a little kid, I've seen these and played with these slot cars, right? And here's a perfect example, this picture here, which is a joke, obviously, but big slot cars. Okay, well, the fact is that our electricity, we lose 75% of it in transmission. I've read that a couple of times, and it's a pretty obvious truth. You know, you create electricity, but you can't contain it in the wires. It just leaks all over the place is what it comes down to. So they just produce massive amounts of electricity, and then you get what you get, right? Well, all we had to do was, instead of running wires on poles, which we've done all this time, and I'm not saying you shouldn't run wires on poles, but why not run it through the streets? See how these streets
I'm
like
really excited
this.
to make this video, but
Yeah, what a douchebag. Anyway, streets like this. Put these things in the street. I mean, I'm sure that it could be utilized in a variety of ways. I'm sure you could run the internet over it. I'm sure that you could run off of it, because obviously it would step down to here. And in Europe, I know they have how about this, trolley cars? I know they run on electricity. So it's not like the idea wasn't ever there. See, these are now these run on lines above the street, but I think I don't care. I don't care, man. You could put them in the street like this. I think that if they were in the street like this, there wouldn't be, it'd be easier to keep people from having accidents. Obviously they couldn't get off of the, because there's a thing that goes down into that slot. That's why they're called slot cars. And you know, I think we could have done this 30, 40 years ago, maybe 50, as far as not computerized. And by now we'd have them and they'd be computerized, and you'd be able to step into them, press a button saying what this destination is, and you'd sit down and read your newspaper. So you know, what I'm saying here about capitalism is it's the opposite. Matter of fact, the truth is, and they hide it very well and they deceive people very well, but the truth is just about everything about capitalism is the opposite of what it says it is. Everything they say that they do good, like create economic growth, create wealth, give people more housing and all this stuff, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. I mean, think about it. There's no reason why people wouldn't work harder if, for instance, they got to share in the equally in the wealth. So the theory's bullshit, and the economic system is bullshit. We needed to do cars like this on the roads 50 years ago. Obviously you would, you would only have to control how fast you went, and probably very quickly, even without computers. Way back in the 50s probably you could have developed a system that would slow you down and stop you if you were like catching up with another car. Obviously each one of these slots would be a one-way street. There's no reason why we couldn't have done it. The only reason that we didn't do it is because it would have been inconvenient for the rich people like the Bushes who got into oil and gas, the Wall Street people. It would have been inconvenient, and they would have had to control it. Whereas they already had control over the oil and gas, right? Yeah. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's basically laziness. So you can say that laziness, along with greed and fear and all these other stupid ways of running an economy, which capitalism is based on, you could say that laziness is built into it, at least for the rich, right? Oh, we've already got this gas thing going and we're making lots of money out of it and we control it, so nobody can throw us off of it with like an electric car or anything. We'll just and once we finally get around to doing electric cars, we'll make sure we're the ones who get to make all the money off of it, But until then, too much work, right? Right. Doesn't matter what the people want. It doesn't matter what's good for the people, the country. All that matters is what's good for you. Yeah, you asshole motherfuckers, man. Every time I think about it, I get so angry. Every time I think about how self-centered, self-righteous those people are. And then they act like we're horrible because we hate them. What? I don't have a right to hate people who hate me. I mean, really, they hate me a lot more than I hate them. They're just not mad about it because they've got it all their way, right? That's what it is. That's what it is. I mean, they hate people, but they're not mad about it. Why should they be? Because their hate is a different kind of hate. My hate is from being stepped on, right? Their hate is from some place that causes them to step on me. And the rest of you, by the way. And maybe too many people have it too well off. Maybe these ultra-rich, maybe they buy off enough of you that allows them to do this, behave this way, and run and keep control of our economy. You people need to straighten up too. You sure the fuck do, man. You need to stop being so self-centered and backing thugs who basically have their boot on our neck. And if you'd stop backing them, that would be the end of it. It's just like if we stopped backing Israel, their little land grab probably would be a lot different, that's for sure. So stop it. Stop backing them. Stop being a proud Republican. Stop being a proud establishment Democrat. Stop being a servant of the establishment at all, because the establishment is what's killing us. This is Martin Drummond for Progressive News.